Zbei is a regular bank employee living a predictable office life from morning till night. The bank has extremely strict requirements for its employees, with meetings and oaths every morning. Day after day, Zbei lives like a puppet. Although married, her family still puts pressure on her, even forcing her to shoulder a huge debt so her younger brother can get married soon. One day, her mother calls, wanting her to ask director Jian Chung to sign a confirmation for a loan. Zbei has no choice but to steel herself and meet the director. Jian Chung is not a good boss. He frequently harasses female employees right in the office. He knows that although Zbei is married, her family is heavily in debt. Her family has no influence, and she herself is kind and easily bullied at the company, so he has developed bad intentions. Zbei has to hide the sadness in her heart while struggling to keep living. Even though she understands the director's hints, she pretends not to hear them, hoping to borrow some money to help her family. Every day, Zbei continues to work diligently. Chief Financial Officer Tao Jia often pushes her work on Zbei and uses the excuse of picking up her child to leave early every day. Seeing Zbei patiently taking on tasks that aren't hers every day, Zhao Chu feels a bit indignant, but Zbei says nothing, just thinking that it's good to do a little more if you have the ability. In reality, Zbei has no mind for work. She is still preoccupied with her husband wanting a divorce. When Zbei kindly reminds her that wearing short skirts might attract bad guys, Zhao Chu doesn't pay much attention. Even sharing her tips for dealing with perverts with Zbei, Zbei seemed quite embarrassed and declined. In the middle of working, she suddenly received a call from her mother reporting that her younger brother's matter had been resolved. Her mother also said that she had cured a lot of bacon at home, telling her to bring it back for her husband, Qin Nan, to eat. Zbei was silent for a moment, not telling her mother the true situation between her and her husband. Many times, Zbei opened her phone intending to text her husband, but when she recalled him saying that she was increasingly losing herself, that the conflict between them was growing, leading to many mistakes in life and the decision to divorce, she hesitated and didn't send a message. As for Qin Nan, he felt that his wife had completely changed, even causing their family to fall apart to help her younger brother. While working overtime, Zbei overheard Tao Jia telling a colleague next to her that she didn't have any connections and still had to bear a debt of several 100,000 yuan for her family. She could only silently endure it and throw herself into work. To welcome General Manager Zhang, Jian Chung took the company staff out to dinner. At the party, he constantly offered drinks, hoping to win a big contract. Seeing that it was raining heavily outside, Qin Nan thought that his wife might not have finished work, so he didn't hesitate to drive to pick her up. In the party, General Manager Zhang saw that Zbei was absent-minded, even playing with her phone, and felt that she didn't take him seriously, so he wanted to show off his power. Seeing Zhao Chu trying to help Zbei, Jian Sheng pulled her back after hearing Mr. Zhang say that she was disrespecting him. Just like that, Zbei was forced by Mr. Zhang to drink 4 glasses of white liquor. Zhao Chu looked at her worriedly, while the others just stood by watching the show. Qin Nan saw that Zbei had finished work, so he didn't call, but quietly left. After drinking, Zbei vomited in the restroom and received a phone call from her mother. Hearing her mother constantly nagging about the divorce like a never-ending sermon, Zbei couldn't help but scream, saying that she didn't want to live like this, that was all forced by life. Zhao Chu was very worried about Zbei and felt heartbroken hearing her words. Zbei only told Zhao Chu that she must live a happier life than her. Jian Sheng saw Zbei constantly expressing her attitude, even thanking him for his support. However, Mr. Zheng had no intention of letting her go, deliberately forcing both Zhao Chu and Zbei to get drunk. In her drunken stupor, Zbei seemed to see the moment when she and her husband first met. And then, amidst the vast field of rapeseed flowers, Zbei was sexually assaulted. After being violated, in her helplessness, Zbei could only call her mother. Lin Feng, as a police officer, contacted Zbei's mother and briefly explained the situation at the hospital entrance. After being attacked, Zbei could only helplessly call from the rapeseed field, asking for a coat to wear. When the police arrived at the scene, they didn't find any suspects. Zbei's condition at that time was very bad. She was depressed, unwilling to talk, and her spirit was completely broken. When she heard that her daughter had been sexually assaulted, Zbei's mother couldn't believe it at all. She tried to explain to the police that her daughter was an honest and law-abiding person, and that such a thing couldn't have happened. Lin Feng tried to calmly communicate with the victim's mother, but unexpectedly, she became extremely agitated, even banging on the hospital room door demanding to take her daughter home. She believed that this was a private matter, that it needed to be kept secret, and that she didn't want many people to know. Zibei's mother always believed that if the police intervened, her daughter's entire life would be ruined. So she wanted to cover up the matter. Although she was a mother, she cared very much about her daughter's reputation and was extremely heartbroken. But as a woman, she also understood that if this matter spread, her daughter would face countless hardships. If Qinan knew, their marriage would certainly break down. She thought that even if the criminal was caught, he would only be in prison for a few years and then be released. But they couldn't control the rumors of the world. Nianwen didn't know that the victim this time was his older sister. He wanted to come to provide legal assistance to the victim, but was stopped by the police. Zibei's mother also didn't want her son to see his older sister in this situation, so she pressed her daughter's head down, and the two of them squatted on the ground together. When Lin Feng saw Zibei leaving the hospital, he realized that her statement had completely changed. She said that she had only argued with her husband, which was why things had turned out this way, clearly to cover up the truth. Lin Feng didn't understand at all, so he asked his superior. Based on the victim's condition at the time, it was clear that she had been sexually assaulted. So why did she change her statement? Hearing her superior say not to jump to conclusions without evidence, Lin Feng was even more confused. The victim was clearly being wronged. So why could his superior, a police officer, maintain such a neutral attitude? Following her mother's advice, Zibei mustered her courage and called her superior to request a leave of absence. She heard her boss say that Mr. Zheng was a client and that she shouldn't have interfered last night, implying that he had tacitly approved of what happened. Zibei was extremely frightened, but said nothing more. Arriving home, Nianwen saw his older sister at home and curiously asked her when she had come back. When he heard her asking about the legal responsibilities for sexual assault, he didn't think much of it and answered straightforwardly. Nianwen said that he wanted to take on a case recently, but hadn't met the client yet. Hearing this, Zibei breathed a sigh of relief. Nianwen told his sister that many women couldn't accept being looked down upon by others after being violated, so they often withdrew their lawsuits before the case went to court. Thinking of this, Zibei dejectedly went into the kitchen to prepare dinner. Qinan didn't know that his client was a police officer. When asked to identify a tire, he still enthusiastically helped with the analysis. Nianwen had no idea what his sister had gone through and even advised her to talk frankly with her brother-in-law to reconcile. In reality, as a younger brother, Nianwen knew what his older sister had sacrificed for him. Sitting on the bed, Zibei recalled the horrifying event that had occurred. She felt helpless and completely didn't know what to do. At the company, Jiansheng was assigning work. When he saw Zibei arrive, he seemed tense. After saying a few probing words and seeing that she didn't seem suspicious, he returned to his old self. Zibei thought of her younger brother's words that it was useless to sue in cases like this, and it was better to just forget everything. When Zibei's mother came to find Qinan to talk about family matters, the two didn't have much to say. Hearing his mother-in-law urge them to have children, Qinan didn't respond. At the company, Tao Jie asked Zibei for help again. But this time she spoke up against it and placed the work directly on Tao Jie's desk. Zibei couldn't accept the fact that she had been violated and tried to find a way to protect her rights. Qinan was also extremely conflicted. He received a phone call from Zhao Chu and rushed to the hospital to see Zibei. The next day at work, Tao Jie saw that the work she had assigned to Zibei was still untouched, and she flew into a rage. She dragged Zibei into the storage room in front of all the company employees and scolded her harshly, accusing Zibei of not working for her, of reluctantly agreeing to help, and then playing tricks behind her back. Seeing Tao Jie excitedly scolding her, Zibei looked extremely scared and didn't dare to resist. Tao Jie kept blaming Zibei, saying that she didn't complete the work, slowed down the bank's loan progress, and affected other employees. She kept putting all the blame on Zibei, even mocking her for drinking with Mr. Zheng. Thinking that she had climbed up the social ladder and didn't bother to complete the tasks she had assigned. All the employees in the company stood outside listening. Tao Jie insisted that Zibei go before the leaders to admit her mistakes, even asking a malicious question. Does your husband know about what you've been through? Unable to bear it any longer, Zibei slapped Tao Jie hard, believing that Tao Jie knew the inside story of her being sexually assaulted. Tao Jie went crazy, lunging at Zibei and attacking her. Zhao Chu came to the company and heard the two arguing, and hurriedly came to help Zibei. Just like that, both of them were taken to the police station. Zhao Chu called Qinan, asking to come and help Zibei. Qinan arrived at the police station with a confused expression. Zibei didn't want her husband to get involved in this matter. When she heard the other party say that all she needed to do was pay compensation and apologize, Zibei immediately stood up and apologized without hesitation, even begging the other party not to make her husband pay compensation. Qinan saw the injury on his wife's hand and held her hand back, not letting her sign and asking why they were fighting. He tore up the mediation form, not letting Tao Jie push people too far. Zibei didn't want her husband to do this because they were preparing to separate. After learning that her mother had gone to find Qin Nan, Zibei actively told her husband that she would find time to explain everything to her mother. Jian Cheng picked up Zibei, subtly implying that she should go home and reflect for a few days. Zibei didn't understand. It was clearly a matter between two people, and the fight was between them. So why was the company only punishing her? When she saw the lucky cat in Jian Cheng's car, Zibei felt that something was wrong. She had heard this sound when she was sexually assaulted. She immediately felt extremely frightened, said that she wanted to take a walk, and hurriedly got out of the car. Jian Cheng also noticed Zibei's abnormality, and his eyes became extremely malicious. After preparing herself mentally, Zibei went to Jian Cheng's office. He said that the reason he hired her was because she was a recent graduate, quite obedient, and listened to him. Then, he told Zibei to take a few days off and not come to work anymore. Looking at Zibei's expression, Jian Cheng knew that she might have guessed something. Zibei frantically drank alcohol, trying to get herself drunk, but she still couldn't get over the shock in her heart. Zhao Chu found Qin Nan to talk, informing him that Zibei had been fired. She hoped that Qin Nan would help Zibei, but Qin Nan felt that they were growing further and further apart. And even though she was a good person, they couldn't be together anymore. Zhao Chu believed that Zibei had been very independent since she was young, and she was even the one who encouraged her to take the college entrance exam. She was clearly a good girl, but she was being so crushed by life that she couldn't breathe. Why didn't Qin Nan, as her husband, understand her at all? Hearing this, Qin Nan recalled the image of himself sitting under the schoolyard listening to Zibei giving a speech. The police once again came to Qin Nan for help in confirming the vehicle model. When watching the video, Qin Nan learned that his wife had been assaulted. As a husband, he felt extremely self-reproach. He rushed straight to Jian Cheng's company and beat him up. Qin Nan declared that he would definitely make Jian Cheng pay the price. While driving away, he deeply regretted not firmly standing by his wife's side, letting her suffer unwarranted grievances. Nian Wen learned that Qin Nan had beaten Jian Cheng and that his older sister had been fired. Qin then hurried home. He hesitated for a moment in front of the door, then used his key to open the door and enter the house, waiting for his wife to wake up. Zibei saw Qin Nan coming home, and she was stunned in surprise. Zibei dazedly woke up and was startled to see Qin Nan in the living room. While asking why he was home, she hurriedly gathered the torn pieces of clothing on the floor, her face full of self-doubt and tension. Seeing that Zibei's condition was not good, Qin Nan tried to ask her about what had happened, wanting to hear it from his wife's own mouth. Zibei didn't tell her husband the truth, but used the excuse that she felt unwell due to recent work pressures. Qin Nan bluntly exposed Zibei's lie, saying that he had watched the video, seeing her being taken home drunk by a colleague, and then being assaulted, seeing that she had been discovered. Zibei finally told her husband the whole story. Immediately, Qin Nan grabbed her hand, saying that they had to go to the police station to report it. Zibei vehemently opposed, her whole body tensing up, telling her husband that if she reported it to the police, she would be slandered by others. She had also thought about this solution, but she had no power, no connections, and her life was already too terrible. She just wanted to live a peaceful life and didn't want to go through any more hardships. Qin Nan said that he was willing to go to the police with his wife, helping her escape a life of being bullied by others. At that moment, Zibei felt that her husband was like a lifeboat saving her sinking life. Nian Wen was standing right outside the door, and when Qin Nan opened the door, he discovered his brother-in-law. Nian Wen knew that after reporting the case, this lawsuit would drag on endlessly, and even his older sister would be despised by others, and the whole family would be implicated. Therefore, he wanted to extinguish this intention of his older sister. At this time, Zibei realized that at the hospital that day, her younger brother knew what had happened to her, so he deliberately said those things to make her give up the idea of reporting the case. Seeing his older sister so distressed, Nian Wen was silent. When he saw his older sister pushing both him and his brother-in-law out, he also felt extremely uncomfortable. Nian Wen grabbed his brother-in-law's hand, advising him not to go to the police like his older sister, saying that this matter would affect everyone once it was exposed, and that he was doing this to reduce the harm to his older sister. Qin Nan felt that the people in Zibei's family were all extremely selfish, only thinking about themselves. This younger brother was like a bloodsucker, always letting his older sister bear the debt for him, while he spent that money casually, then pretended not to know anything, letting the whole family become a burden that crushed Zibei. Qin Nan suddenly understood why Zibei had become the way she was today. Part of it was due to her family, and also due to himself, who had not actively stood up when she needed help the most. Nian went heavily left. Before leaving, telling his older sister and brother-in-law that today was their father's birthday, telling them to go home. Qinan felt both self-reproach and regret. If he could have encouraged and supported his wife more before, then perhaps this would not have happened. He kept calling Zibei, but couldn't reach her. Feeling that something was wrong, he hurriedly ran home and found her passed out on the floor and took her to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, Zibei told Qinan that, in fact, sometimes she also wanted to fight, but every time she tried to stand up, her family would tell her to endure it. Zibei recalled her childhood. Her academic performance was clearly excellent, and she was good enough to pass the college entrance exam. But her mother favored sons over daughters. In order to reduce expenses, she even forced her to drop out of school to stay at home and take care of her younger brother. Her mother's heart was always only focused on her son. With 2 children in the family going to school, her mother had naturally chosen to sacrifice Zibei's educational opportunities. Fortunately, she received sponsorship from a kind person and was able to go to college. But her mother's control was very strong. She even went to the city where Zibei worked and ruined her job that was about to become official. Zibei's life suddenly became uncertain, but she still wanted to stay in the big city. She frantically looked for work, doing many part-time jobs every day just to be able to stand here, and had even fainted from exhaustion. In fact, Qinan had always had feelings for Zibei. He even said that she was the light in his darkest days. Recalling the past events, and then seeing his wife finally wake up and repeatedly say sorry to him, Qinan felt extremely remorseful. In fact, this was not her fault at all. Zibei still felt that she had experienced this shameful thing, causing her husband to lose face. She felt extremely guilty, but in the end, she still resolutely chose to report the crime. When Qinan heard Zibei finally decide to go to the police, Qinan firmly said that he was willing to stand by his wife's side. He said, if there's a difficult situation being scolded by others, he is willing to be the first to step up. Whoever scolds, he will respond. He will always support Zibei. Nian received a phone call from his brother-in-law, and the whole family rushed to the hospital. Qinan flipped through the photos from school days, looking at Zibei from back then, and his heart became even more firm in his decision. Zibei's parents also rushed to the hospital upon hearing the news. Although they knew what had happened, and everyone was very heartbroken, Zibei's father still blamed his son-in-law for not taking care of his daughter carefully. Zhao Chu also felt sad for Zibei. It was truly too painful for a woman to have to go through something like that. Nian told Qinan that. In fact, part of him was afraid of being affected. But what he was more afraid of was that his older sister would not be able to withstand the pressure from public opinion and might even not want to live anymore. But Qinan believed that, although reporting the crime might seem very difficult, as long as they persisted to the end, there would be hope of winning. And for Zibei, that would be a better change. Conversely, if they chose to cover up this matter, then Zibei's whole life would be considered ruined. Zibei planned to sneak out of the hospital to report the crime. The family discovered that she had left and went crazy looking for her and called Qinan. In the end, Zibei was still found by her family. She finally spoke her heart that she wanted to report the crime, but her mother vehemently opposed, only wanting to drag her to see a doctor. In front of everyone, she even said that they had to think about the whole family, that her younger brother was about to get married. Doing so would affect the work of her younger brother and sister-in-law, and even Zhao Chu would be implicated. Seeing her daughter scream in despair, vowing to stand on her own 2 feet from now on and determined to do this, Zibei's mother helplessly sat down beside her. Nian also felt his older sister's pain and despair. He bowed deeply to his older sister, expressing his support for her decision to report the crime, stating that he understood her pain and was willing to help. Qinan took Zibei to report the crime, seeing her husband scolding her. Zibei's mother calmly said that if Zibei reported the crime like this, the troubles that followed would be very difficult to resolve. Lin Feng saw Zibei coming to report the crime and knew that she had overcome her own psychological barriers. When recounting the events in detail to the police, Zibei couldn't help but break down at times. She felt that the police were cold-blooded, not sympathetic to her at all. The criminal was clearly there, so why couldn't they arrest him? However, as police officers, they really wanted to help the victim, but only with solid evidence could they bring the criminal to justice. When they came out, Officer Zhang discovered that Qinan was also here and was very surprised. When he saw Zibei nestled in Qinan's arms, he realized that she was his wife and realized that he seemed to have made a mistake. Zibei saw Zhao Chu looking very guilty and knew that her friend felt extremely guilty, but she didn't blame Zhao Chu at all. Seeing Qinan taking care of her in every little detail, Zibei felt even more inferior and a little evasive. Jiansheng was not surprised to see the police suddenly come looking for him. Without the slightest hesitation, Lin Feng directly handed out the summons and requested the person involved to come to the police station. Seeing the summons, Jian Cheng was a little unwilling and planned to make a fuss to escape, using the excuse of wanting to make a phone call to inquire, but was stopped by the police. Seeing the other party deliberately delaying, Officer Zhang let him finish the work he was still doing. When he saw the leopard decoration in Jian Cheng's office, Captain Zhang felt that this person's ambition was very great. Jian Cheng pretended to casually call Assistant Tao Jian, signing a secret code on the document to transmit information, but the police did not notice. The cleaning staff gossiped on the way that the boss had been taken away, actually because he had violated a woman. Zibei's mother happened to overhear and felt a little embarrassed, hurriedly carrying the lunchbox and taking her daughter quickly back to the hospital. Zibei was a bit indifferent at this time, seemingly not caring at all. When questioned by the police, Jian Cheng said he didn't know anything, even not having any actual assault behavior towards Zibei. He said he was Zibei's benefactor, unexpectedly being bitten back by the wolf he had raised. He said that this girl was quite eccentric, even unable to find a job. He was the one who gave her a chance. Unexpectedly, such a thing happened. Jianqing also confessed that Zibei had asked him for a confirmation to help her younger brother have money to marry and buy a house. So he just went with the flow to help. But a few days ago, Zibei took leave for no reason, even being audacious enough to ask for vacation. So he didn't pay attention. Captain Zhang felt that this guy was very eloquent, even if the event was done by him after such a long time. He had made up a perfect lie. This guy was like an eel. It would take time to find evidence. Tao Jia was also called in by the police, and all the employees in the company were invited to give statements. Jianqing's reputation in the eyes of employees was quite good. Zibei saw her mother, making her wear sunglasses everywhere, feeling extremely annoyed, and left on her own. Lying on the bed at home, seeing so many messages, her heart felt both pain and numbness. Now, everyone knew about this. Zibei helplessly told Qin Nan that many people sent messages of sympathy for her. But what about it? Even if some people didn't have good intentions, she would persevere to the end. Qin Nan knew that Zibei was under a lot of psychological pressure, so he took her to his small secret base, teaching her boxing to relieve the pressure in her heart. Hearing Zibei being curious about him, he mocked himself that her family really didn't know how to choose someone. Marrying her to someone like him who hadn't even graduated from high school and only knew how to drink and fight all day. Zibei also felt that Qin Nan's taste wasn't very good. Back then, she was eccentric, had no friends, and had a younger brother who was a burden. Yet this man was determined to marry her. Zibei confided that, as a child, she longed to receive attention from her parents, so she tried her best to be loved by her parents. But when she received a little bit, she became even more greedy and gradually lost herself. Qin Nan took Zibei to get some fresh air, even cheering her on the highway. Unexpectedly, Zibei broke her previous rigid rules, even speeding and driving straight to the beach. Qin Nan woke up and found Zibei sitting there in a daze, knowing that the car was out of gas. The two walked together to buy gas. Zibei was curious why Qin Nan didn't have parents. He admitted that his impression of his parents wasn't very deep, but he remembered very clearly the moment they abandoned him. Qin Nan told Zibei to shout out the grievances in her heart. Perhaps she would feel better. He even suggested selling the house and buying a house by the sea to live here, away from the noisy controversies. Imprisoned in the police station, Jian Cheng was very anxious, always saying that he was a good person and wanted the police to release him. Tao Jie brought many gifts to visit Zibei, hinting to threaten her, but Zibei didn't waver at all. Zibei asked Qin Nan if he had ever loved anyone before they got married. Was there any girl he liked? Qin Nan honestly replied that he had never loved anyone, but hoped that the girl in his heart would forever live happily. Jian Cheng saw that his assistant couldn't convince Zibei to withdraw the lawsuit, so he took the initiative to bite back, saying that Zibei had actively seduced him to have a relationship with him. Looking at Jian Cheng's vague way of speaking, Captain Zhang fell into contemplation, not knowing what he was thinking. Lin Feng had almost confirmed that Jian Cheng was the perpetrator. This made Captain Zhang angry and scolded Lin Feng for committing a major taboo of the police, saying that if he continued like this, he was not worthy of being a police officer. In the end, Lin Feng had to apologize and explain that he was too impatient. As a police officer, Captain Zhang deeply understood the importance of a tight chain of evidence. If not enough was collected and actions were taken rashly, it would cause greater harm to those involved. He helplessly sighed, explaining to his student that he didn't know anything at the time, only asking Qin Nan for help in a personal capacity, not knowing that Qin Nan had such a relationship with the person involved. Captain Zhang intently looked at the documents in his hand, his eyebrows furrowing more and more. He felt it was difficult to determine the state of intoxication of the person involved, so he told the student to call Zibei to confirm further. Jiansheng had reached out to help Zibei when she was in the most difficult situation. Zibei was an honest person. She didn't hide anything in front of the police. She frankly said that she had been rejected by many companies because of her age, and Jiansheng was the one who gave her a chance, so she was very grateful in her heart. Captain Zhang focused on Zibei and asked how much she had drunk that night. Was she sober? Zibei honestly replied that she had drunk alcohol that night, and recently she was in a bad mood because of family matters, and she was in great need of a large sum of money. After learning about Zibei's difficult circumstances, Qin Nin sought out Dechun, his childhood friend, to find her a way to make a living. However, the boss was a little hesitant because Zibei's previous job had involved being assaulted. Dechun was also reprimanded by his boss because of this. Knowing that the boss didn't want to hire her, Zibei quietly left. Dechun always felt that Brother Nan was a person who valued loyalty, so he hoped that Zibei could treat Qin Nan well. Zibei looked very helpless when explaining, but it didn't seem to have any effect. Zibei went to find Tao Jia and met General Manager Zhao and senior leaders of the group. She thought the company would give her an explanation, but unexpectedly received a large sum of money and was informed that they would pay off all her debts. Tao Jia chimed in, saying that General Manager Zhao was very generous, knowing that Zibei needed money, so he was helping. Meanwhile, Tuk Tuesday felt that Zibei was stubborn and difficult to persuade, and Zibei didn't give these people any face. Tao Jia tried to persuade Zibei to leave a way out for others and accept this money, even hinting that sometimes people need to take shortcuts and promise to let her stay here to work. Everyone in the company was listening, and Zhao Chu thought that Zibei would agree. However, Zibei resolutely insisted that she only needed fairness. Seeing this, Tao Jia hurriedly ordered someone to hold Zibei and tried to snatch the phone in her hand, but Zhao Chu secretly helped Zibei escape. Zibei's heart was full of doubts. She didn't understand why there were so many people protecting such a bad person. Qin Nin thought that there were still many good people in this world, only that after being hurt, many people chose to remain silent. But those good people still existed, just needing time to wait. When Qin Nin heard Zibei say that he had been with her until now because of righteousness, and the road ahead she had to walk herself, he decided not to go through with the divorce. Qin Nin knew that even without him by her side, Zibei would still step on the path to find justice for herself. All decisions were hers. Zibei pressed to ask why Qin Nin was staying. Qin Nin looked at her affectionately without saying the reason, but his eyes said it all. He stayed for love. When Yanwen learned that Meng Xian had taken Jiansheng's case, he seemed extremely puzzled. He frowned, pacing back and forth in the room, constantly thinking about why Meng Xian would take on such a difficult case for money, even disregarding his own reputation. Could it be that sometimes justice really needs money to cover it up? The more Yanwen thought about it, the angrier he became, finally deciding to resign decisively to become a defense lawyer for his older sister Zibei. After a period of psychological struggle, Shui still decided to find Zibei to talk. She dressed neatly, carrying some worry to meet Zibei. When negotiating, she constantly mentioned her daughter, her eyes full of helplessness and pleading. Zibei looked at Shu Hui in front of her, her heart a jumble of emotions. She felt that as a wife. Shu Hui was really too much of a failure, handling so many troublesome things for her husband for the sake of her daughter. Sometimes Zibei really couldn't understand why the family of this evildoer could be so happy and complete, while she herself had to bear everything alone. When she saw Shu Hui kneeling on the ground, painfully begging her to withdraw the lawsuit, Zibei only felt that this woman was extremely hateful. She gritted her teeth, secretly vowing in her heart that she would never forgive Jiansheng. After learning the reason for Nian Wen's resignation, Zhao Chu flashed a hint of admiration and unhesitatingly expressed her support for her boyfriend's actions. At the same time, the story of Zibei's assault was making noise everywhere, and some even splashed paint in front of her house in an attempt to make a big deal out of it. Qin Nin searched everywhere in the night and finally found the person who splashed paint, but the other party was a group of people. Helplessly, Zibei had to hand this over to the police, hoping that the police could take action to help. After hearing about it, Lin Feng patted Zibei's shoulder seriously, signaling to her that after encountering similar things in the future, she could just report it to the police. When she saw the police come looking for her, Shu Hui panicked a little, but then quickly calmed down. She said that she hadn't done anything. When the police asked who her husband's best friend was, she pretended not to know anything and remained silent. When she heard the company leader wanting her to persuade Zibei to reconcile, Zhao Chu's face immediately darkened. She felt that this company was too dirty. It turned out that Mr. Zhao had investigated the relationship between Zhao Chu's family and Zibei, wanting to use Zhao Chu's concern for work to have her talk to Zibei. Zhao Chu was a person who valued loyalty. She felt that she also had a responsibility in Zibei's matter, so she threw her employee card on the table and turned to pack her things to leave. Seeing this, Tao Jie hurried to dissuade her, trying to use the reason that current jobs were hard to find to keep Zhao Chu. But Zhao Chu loudly cursed the company in front of all the employees, even questioning Tao Jie, that as a woman, why did she have to do so many things to help those evildoers? Zibei checked her phone and found that Zhao Chu had quit her job. Although Zhao Chu didn't say anything and seemed very comfortable, Zibei knew she was very sorry for her. However, Zhao Chu felt that this apology should be her saying to Zibei, and she was also too tired of this terrible company. Qi Nan knew that Zibei was unhappy. Plus the fact that Zhao Chu quit her job for her sake made her feel a knot in her heart. Captain Zhang listened to the recording that Zibei turned in and was very angry. Why didn't she provide such an important piece of evidence to the police last time? Zibei explained that this was a private matter between them, not wanting to implicate others. Lin Feng felt that things were finally showing signs of easing, and the two Zibei were admirable. Turning around, he saw Captain Zhang looking at two flowers under the car, and thought to himself that his master wasn't doing anything serious all day long. After learning that his girlfriend had quit her job, Nianwen also felt guilty. But Zhao Chu felt that losing this job allowed her to continue striving with her boyfriend. If there was no job, she could find another one. Arriving home, Zibei heard her father constantly scolding her younger brother, and saw her mother sitting on the bed, not eating or drinking. She knew that Xu Min was behind the scenes. Xu Min aggressively demanded that Zibei withdraw the lawsuit, otherwise she would continue to cause trouble. Nianwen felt that his parents were really stubborn. His older sister had suffered such great grievances, and they were still forcing her to endure it. Zhao Chu knew that her boyfriend was under a lot of pressure. Nianwen told his girlfriend that he might sell the house used for the wedding. Zhao Chu thought that as long as her boyfriend loved her, money could be earned back. No matter what happened in the future, the two could face it together. Zibei wore a mask to meet Lin Feng. When she heard Zibei ask if the chances of winning this case were high, Lin Feng was stunned. He couldn't give an accurate answer either. Lin Feng found Captain Zhang and felt very puzzled. Clearly Zibei was the victim. But in the end, no one was helping her. Xu Hui suddenly recalled Lawyer Meng's reminder that she had to pay attention to the belongings in the house. She found a USB drive in the house, and when she saw the contents inside, she could hardly believe it. When Nianwen was preparing documents for his older sister's trial tomorrow, his mother came over and asked a question, but he didn't pay much attention. Zibei opened the door. Unexpectedly, her younger brother, father, and mother were all present. Her mother even said that no matter what, the whole family had to be together. At the trial, Xu Hui held a pot of water and splashed it on Zibei, even splicing the audio in the USB, amplifying it with a loudspeaker for everyone to hear. After hearing the audio, Zibei was extremely panicked, as if deafened. Her whole body was very frightened. Huang saw her daughter lose her spirit, so she stepped forward and slapped her. Clearly, she didn't let her daughter report to the police, but her daughter insisted on reporting to the police, causing things to become like this, causing the whole family to lose face. Zibei listened to her mother's blame. Her heart was very painful. Qi Nan next to her kept encouraging her. The two had come to this step. They had to persevere to let the bad guys be punished appropriately. Nianwen took his older sister to the procuratorate to present the details of the incident. He also comforted her that the procuratorate needed to follow the usual procedures, and the defense lawyer had submitted new evidence, so they needed to wait. Huang hugged her daughter. Zibei silently shed tears. When she heard the lawyer say that if this case was dragged on to the end, it would cause both sides to lose, Xu Hui thought of Zhao Chu, feeling that if she could persuade Zhao Chu to testify in court, the chances of winning the case would be very high. When Zhao Chu felt bullied by colleagues in the company and wanted to argue, she heard them say that she was the one who pushed Zibei into the car. Now she was irresponsible. Zhao Chu immediately felt hurt, going home and checking, and indeed found the rumors on the internet. Qi Nan was with Zibei every day. The two had discussed that after the lawsuit ended, they would quit drinking together. Today was the day of the trial for Zibei's case. Both sides were present. The reporters outside wanted even more to get inside to follow it. Nianwen heard his master say that after winning the case, he would treat him to a meal. He then said that he wanted to treat his master to this meal even more. Zibei, along with her younger brother and Zhao Chu, entered the court. Zibei was very grateful to Zhao Chu and said that after today's events, all of them would be freed. Just like that, the two were separated. Zhao Chu looked at Zibei as if there was something she wanted to say, but in the end, she didn't open her mouth. Jian Chung arrived at the courthouse, preparing to go to trial, but was extremely confused in his heart. Nianwen told his older sister not to worry. Zibei trusted her younger brother and said that this time it was not only to protect justice for herself, but also a source of motivation, representing many people who didn't dare to stand up. Qi Nan was very nervous when Captain Zhang called him out. He asked Captain Zhang with a serious face whether this case would succeed. Captain Zhang didn't give a definite answer either, only saying that he would try his best. Jian Chung testified to the judge that Zheng Chong called to cooperate with him, and because this Mr. Zheng was someone who liked excitement, he called the company employees to gather. Zibei was also there, but because she offended Mr. Zheng, she was given a lot of alcohol. Jian Chung said that at that time, although Zibei was a little drunk, her consciousness was still very clear and she voluntarily had relations with him, then threatened him. However, Jian Chung affirmed that he hadn't done anything wrong, so he wasn't threatened by Zibei and was reported to the police by Zibei for revenge. Zibei was summoned by the judge to the court and recounted the situation that happened at that time. Lawyer Ming asked Zibei if she was someone who always followed the rules, so why would a well-behaved girl go out drinking at night? If Zibei's life was so clean, why would she carry contraceptive devices? Moreover, at the time of the incident, she also didn't see the face of the person involved. He presented pictures of Zibei, seeing the picture of herself not being blindfolded at that time. Zibei was stunned, her emotions extremely agitated. But Lawyer Ming still pressed on, not letting Zibei go, completely collapsing her psychological defenses. Zibei looked at the people around her. When she heard the judge ask her to leave the court, she almost couldn't believe it, helplessly looking around, even looking towards her younger brother. Zhao Chu was summoned to the court, but Lawyer Ming said that Zhao Chu and Zibei's younger brother were lovers, basically not qualified to testify in court. Zhao Chu couldn't have imagined that her going to court to testify would become evidence for Lawyer Ming to attack Zibei. Lawyer Ming's questions were extremely sharp, catching Zhao Chu off guard, not knowing how to answer for a moment. Zhao Chu completely didn't know what to do, so she had to repeat what Zibei had said that day to the judge. Nianwen never expected that his girlfriend would also betray his older sister, giving false testimony in court, making the situation difficult to reverse for a moment. The judge saw that the two sides were arguing fiercely, both with very favorable testimonies, and was a little difficult to judge the truth. Nianwen heard his master say in court that his older sister had to ask the leader for confirmation when borrowing money for his house. At that time, his heart ached. He felt that if it weren't for him, his older sister wouldn't have had to endure such harm. But when he supplemented his testimony, his voice choked, even unable to continue reading the draft, and said directly that his older sister even wore a thick uniform in the summer for this job. Not choosing to report to the police at that time, but asking the police for a windbreaker was also asking them for help. As a woman, being able to bravely stand up and speak out, his older sister was extremely courageous. Nianwen found his brother-in-law and said that Zhao Chu had changed her testimony, saying that she had never given Zibei condoms. Just like that, Zibei's testimony wasn't enough to reverse the situation, and the trial ended in failure. The families of Qin Nan and Zibei completely couldn't accept this fact. Xu Hui knew that her husband's case had won, but she wasn't happy at all when she saw her husband happily declare himself innocent in front of the media. Xu Hui consciously avoided her husband's intimacy. Gu Feng watched the criminal leave just like that, couldn't help but rush into the crowd and beat Jian Cheng. Nianwen also rushed in. In an instant, the scene became chaotic, but Jian Cheng's side clearly had more people. Zibei saw her family being beaten and also rushed in. This lawsuit had been lost. There were many people who were sad, and there were also those who were happy. Zibei completely collapsed mentally, and Zhao Chu even more didn't dare to face Zibei and her boyfriend. Xu Hui watched Jian Cheng return and happily kiss his daughter. She tried to suppress the disgust in her heart, because for her daughter to have a complete family, she could only pretend that nothing had happened. When he heard his wife Xu Hui say that he had an affair, and even hid the video in his daughter's trophy, Jian Cheng kept slapping himself in the face to beg for his wife's forgiveness, even kneeling down. Xu Hui told Jian Cheng that in the future the two would be a surface harmony, inner discord couple for the sake of their children, telling Jian Cheng to behave himself from now on. After apologizing, Jian Cheng immediately asked his wife about the USB drive. Xu Hui told Jian Cheng that he wouldn't get that USB drive in this lifetime, telling Jian Cheng to give up that thought. Zhao Chu accepted an interview with a reporter. The reporter deliberately asked Zhao Chu whether Zibei was sober at that time. Nianwen didn't believe Zhao Chu would be such a person. Qinan told Zibei that Zhao Chu said the condoms were definitely not given to Zibei by her, and that after getting home that day, she called to confirm Zibei was safe before going to bed. Nian looked at what Zhao Chu said in the live stream, thinking about their past memories. When he saw Zhao Chu coming from afar, he wanted nothing more than to slap her. Zhao Chu told Nian when to go home and talk. Zibei had also arrived. Zhao Chu said that Zibei had really texted her that night. Zibei reviewed the messages in her phone and discovered that the two people's messages weren't the same. She had really misunderstood Zhao Chu. Zhao Chu said that no matter what she did, she would be criticized by others. Even people online would say she was a money grubber, forcing her older sister to borrow money without end because she wanted her boyfriend to buy a house. If she had taken Zibei home at that time, so many things wouldn't have happened. But if there were so many ifs, then Zibei wouldn't have had to go through this suffering either. Nian still wanted to continue questioning Zhao Chu, but Zibei understood that she was only busy going to find justice for herself and forgot about Zhao Chu's circumstances. As a woman, she could understand Zhao Chu, so she told her younger brother not to pursue it anymore. Zhao Chu knelt down and begged Zibei to take her money and find a faraway place to continue living. Zibei looked at Zhao Chu kneeling on the ground, unable to forgive her in her heart, but also knowing that Zhao Chu wasn't a bad person, so she had to let it go. Huang told Qin Nen that Nian would have been locking himself in his room, saying that he wanted to get justice for his older sister Zibei. Qin Nen knew that his mother-in-law was calling him to ask him to persuade his brother-in-law, so before she could even open her mouth, he took the initiative to say that he would go talk to Nian later. Nian went straight to the company to find his master. He couldn't believe why his master would stand on the opposite side when his older sister was the victim, and his master kept rubbing salt into the wound. Qin Nan understood that Nian was very sad in his heart at this time. Nian couldn't help but confide in his brother-in-law that he had even wanted to go beg his master for mercy, to tell him what the next step should be. Qin comforted him that justice would come sooner or later, it was just a matter of time. So he had to persevere through this dark period in order to welcome better things. Zhao Ming felt that Jiansheng was going too far, when he himself had prepared a way out for him. Jiansheng felt that their child had to call Zhao Ming uncle, and he didn't think anything of Zhao Ming. He even provocatively asked if Zhao Ming wanted to be his boss. Then fine, otherwise forget it, then left nonchalantly. At the drinking party that day, Jiansheng had bad intentions towards Zibei, even secretly putting drugs into her drink, then taking advantage of no one paying attention. He asked the waiter to give it to her. Tao Jie was also helping Jiansheng. Even when he was in prison, she found a way to help. Seeing her daughter becoming more and more thin and haggard, Huang felt both pain and fear that her daughter would have suicidal thoughts and give up on everyone. Lin Feng thought that Captain Zhang was giving up. Unexpectedly, he said that their direction of investigation was wrong and they needed to think from a different angle. Lin Feng noticed that his master was eating but was distracted. Captain Zhang hurriedly wiped his mouth, and when he saw the manner of the waiter bringing water, he suddenly wanted to review the statements of those who had come to report. Meanwhile, Meng Xin and Jian Cheng shamelessly accepted interviews with the media, touting that they were innocent and wanting to use public opinion to clear their names. Hearing this news, Huang was so angry that she fainted and had to be hospitalized. The doctor diagnosed her with cerebral infarction. Zibei suddenly felt that everything was weighing down on her shoulders, making her unable to breathe. Gue Feng was receiving an infusion. When she saw her mother finally wake up, Zibei was extremely happy, seeing her mother struggling to say each word, telling her to leave Haicheng City. Even though in her heart she still wanted to persevere in pursuing this case to the end, she still agreed with her mother. After a serious conversation with her father, Zibei learned that her being sent back to the countryside when she was young was actually directed by her father. When she saw her father actively admitting his mistakes about the favoring sons over daughter's ideology of the past and expressing his regret for missing his daughter's growing up process, Zibei suddenly felt that the things she had experienced before were nothing. For her, the most important thing was for her parents to be healthy. Captain Zhang felt that behind this case there must be some truth that they hadn't discovered yet. When he asked the service staff at the previous restaurant, he found that the server who brought water to Zibei had quit his job on his own because he found a better job. He felt that there was something shady here. The employee named Mei Li told the police that she came here to work because a good sister introduced her. And this person was no stranger to the police. It was Tao Jie. Mei Li told the police directly that night, after drinking, Zibei looked very uncomfortable. When she was standing next to her, it was Mr. Fan who actively poured water and told her to give it to Zibei. Captain Zhang quickly realized that there was a problem with that glass of water and decided to immediately return to the police station to quickly collect evidence. Tao Jie got off work, preparing to go see a movie with colleagues. When she was blocked by the police team, her heart was a little panicked when she saw that she almost bumped into Captain Zhang. She hurriedly got out of the car. Hearing Captain Zhang ask about her promotion a few years ago, she knew that he was looking for her to investigate. So she used the excuse of picking up her child and quickly left. Through the short conversation with Tao Jia, Captain Zhang knew that she was clearly hiding a very big secret. In the evening, Zibei still insisted on giving Qin Nan milk to drink. Waking up the next morning, Qin Nan saw that he had slept for a long time, feeling a little strange but not paying attention. When he went outside to get his car, a delivery person arrived. Qin Nan thought Zibei was at home, but when he heard the delivery person say there was no one, he hurriedly contacted his wife and ran home, seeing that Zibei had packed all her belongings and quietly disappeared. Lin Feng and Captain Zhang were following Jian Sheng and happened to meet Zibei. Qin Nan saw his wife return. His heart finally breathed a sigh of relief. When he heard Zibei say that she was at the hospital and saw the mud on his wife's trouser legs, he knew she was lying but didn't expose her. Qin Nan clearly noticed that something was very wrong with Zibei and always kept an eye on her every action. That night, Qin Nan pretended to be fast asleep and followed Zibei, discovering that she secretly went out alone in the middle of the night. Clearly, she had investigated Jian Sheng's whereabouts and wanted to take revenge on him. At this time, Jian Sheng was enthusiastically gambling in the casino. Qin Nan thought Zibei would go in, but saw her only observe for a while then return home. Seeing Qin Nan sleeping very soundly, Zibei quietly returned to bed. Qin Nan then hugged his wife, saying that next month the two would leave. In that place, there would be a happy life, subtly implying that Zibei shouldn't do anything stupid. Zibei secretly followed Jian Sheng to understand his daily travel schedule. Qin Nan also secretly followed behind Zibei, observing her every action. Taking advantage of Zibei sleeping soundly, Qin Nan secretly looked at her notebook, seeing that everything was recorded in great detail. Even having planned out many escape routes, Qin Nan tried to suppress the pain, crying silently because he loved his wife so much. Zibei took Qin Nan to visit Miss Yang. Miss Yang looked at Qin Nan with a meaningful look, seemingly trying to hide something. Captain Zhang went to visit Gui Feng at the house. He discovered that Qin Nan and Zibei were actually middle school classmates. Even in the picture, it could be clearly seen that Qin Nan's eyes were always following Zibei. This explained why even though Zibei was assaulted, Qin Nan still chose to be by her side. Nianwen saw Captain Zhang staring blankly at his older sister's graduation photo, and explained on the side that his brother-in-law and older sister met through matchmaking. At that time, Nianwen was very arrogant, feeling that his brother-in-law had low education, but unexpectedly his older sister was very determined with Qin Nan, and just like that the two came together. Captain Zhang now remembered that he had asked Qin Nan. The two had only been married for a year, but their feelings were already very deep. At that time, Qin Nan also said that they went to the same middle school. At this time, Nianwen hurriedly asked what Captain Zhang had come to find him for today. Was there hope for his older sister's case? Captain Zhang asked Nianwen back. Why did he still care when Zibei had given up? Nianwen choked up, saying that this matter was also indirectly caused by him, and he would never be able to overcome this psychological barrier. Captain Zhang told Nianwen that perhaps the situation at that time wasn't like what Zibei had said. Nianwen initially thought Captain Zhang suspected his older sister was lying, but he took out a psychotropic drug and said that if at the time Zibei was drinking and someone put this drug in, causing her spirit to be disordered, then everything that happened afterwards would become reasonable. However, this was only speculation and still needed solid evidence. Gui Feng and her husband in the room also heard. The two old people immediately flashed a ray of hope. Zhao Chu lived in guilt every day, not eating or drinking, only locking herself in her room, making her parents very worried. Nianwen came to visit and was very saddened to see her appearance. Zhao Chu didn't dare to look Nianwen in the eye. He said that he had always focused on his older sister's matter and forgot that his girlfriend also had to endure cyber violence. Now that he had calmed down, he understood her actions very well. He took out his phone and said that this time he wasn't recording. Zhao Chu knew that Nianwen didn't believe her, so she said she didn't hope he came to interrogate her anymore. Nianwen knew that Zhao Chu was hiding something from him. She didn't hide it anymore. Clearly she hadn't done anything wrong but turned into a villain. She said that when she went to work, she dressed very nicely, but people online attacked her, even saying that she was the evildoer. Zhao Chu couldn't face those words. Some netizens even thought that she had offered up Zibei to Jian Sheng. She had been naive and wanted to testify in court to put the evildoer Jian Sheng in jail, but public opinion made her unable to face herself, even very afraid of becoming the target of everyone's criticism. In court, the opposing lawyer's sharp questions had completely collapsed her. Captain Zhang went to find Teacher Yang to ask about Zibei and Qin Nan's school days. Before leaving, Zibei saw that Qin Nan was a little different. even a little lingering and dragging, but she didn't pay much attention and was determined to leave. Miss Yang recalled that Qi Nin used to go to school and only fight. Suddenly one day, he actively found her study, even using the small change he earned from odd jobs to sponsor Zi Bei to go to school. Qi Nin asked her to keep this a secret so that Zi Bei wouldn't be under psychological pressure. Afterwards, Qi Nin lost his father. His mother hurriedly gave him a sum of money, told him to take care of his grandfather, then just left and remarried. This double shock made Qi Nin become depressed and taciturn. A few days later, he brought his application to drop out of school to find Miss Yang, even giving all the little money left on his body to sponsor Zi Bei to continue studying, and asked Miss Yang to keep the secret for him. Arriving at the station, Zi Bei discovered the letter Qi Nin wrote to her. It turned out that Qi Nin had considered the worst-case scenario, even planning to secretly go take revenge on Jiancheng, only hoping that Zi Bei could live a carefree, happy life. While Zi Bei was absent-mindedly staring at the letter, Lin Feng came to her and reported that Captain Zhang was looking for her. As soon as Zi Bei answered the phone, Captain Zhang hurriedly asked her if she was planning to kill Jiancheng. Zi Bei was stunned for a few seconds. Unable to speak, Captain Zhang continued, saying that Qi Nin, because he wanted her to live well, had gone alone to kill Jiancheng. After learning from Captain Zhang that the 2 or 3 yuan for her high school education were given by Qi Nin, Zi Bei then heard him say she couldn't let Qi Nin ruin the rest of his life because of her. Zi Bei hurriedly called Nianwen, reporting that Qi Nin was about to go kill Jiancheng, and asked him to stop him. Zhao Chu also went with Nianwen to prevent the tragedy. Captain Zhang hurriedly called Jiancheng, but he was listening to music and didn't notice the phone ringing. He had no choice but to call Xu Hui, asking her to contact Jiancheng. While everyone was rushing to the scene, Jiancheng was completely unaware. Qi Nin had written a letter to Zi Bei, saying that he would always love her and hope that she would live well. As soon as Jiancheng took the money, preparing to go gambling, and opened the car window, he saw Qi Nin standing there waiting. He secretly sneaked into the casino. Qi Nin also followed him inside. The people there covered for Jiancheng and seriously injured Qi Nin. At this time, the police had also arrived. Qi Nin was chasing Jiancheng. Seeing this, Jiancheng said that he was willing to give all the money to Qi Nin, even willing to record a video apologizing. He excused himself that he had just been unable to restrain himself at the time. Captain Zhang advised Qi Nin that the law would give the fairest judgment. He couldn't trade his whole life for someone not worth it. But Qi Nin always felt that it was because of him that Zi Bei had reached this state. If he hadn't been weak, their lives would have been better, and Zi Bei wouldn't have had to endure this painful despair. Qi Nin was extremely agitated, even planning to kill the person in his hands. Fortunately, Zi Bei arrived just in time. She advised Qi Nin to calm down and believe in the judgment of the law, even if he was sentenced to a few years in prison. That would be an appropriate punishment. Finally, Qi Nin also released the chain in his hand and fainted. Zi Bei wanted to visit Qi Nin, but was blocked by the police. She stood outside and called out loudly, hoping Qi Nin would believe in the law, that they would definitely overcome this difficulty together. Captain Zhang also comforted Zi Bei to take care of her health. Later going to the hospital to assess the injuries would consider reducing the situation. Xu Hui looked at the computer and discovered that her husband had violated many female students, even recording videos. Although unable to accept her husband's betrayal for a moment, she still maintained her composure, using a USB to copy all those videos. Zi Bei participated in an interview program and shared with everyone that this incident had caused a deep wound to her life. Even losing the lawsuit made many people misunderstand that she had a problem with morality, but she would still persevere to the end. Zhao Chu was watching Zi Bei's livestream. On the screen, Zi Bei spoke to the girls about the obedience tests in the workplace, about why girls couldn't dress nicely, and why after being harmed, the ones being criticized were the girls. These questions attracted the attention of all women. Zhao Chu also decided that she was willing to take responsibility for the mistakes she had made. She actively called Lin Feng and said that she wanted to turn herself in. When Jiancheng returned home and turned on the computer, he discovered that all the videos he had saved had disappeared. Xu Hui actively stepped out and asked if he was looking for the videos of the girls he had assaulted. Knowing for sure that it was done by Xu Hui, Jiancheng couldn't help but grab her neck and interrogate her. Xu Hui said that she had not only touched those videos, but also copied a version. When Lin Feng received the videos accused by Xu Hui, he was very happy for Zi Bei, finally having strong evidence to overturn the case. When she received the phone call from the police, Zi Bei was also moved to tears. Zhao Chu actively found Captain Zhang to report the truth. Just as she went out the door, she saw her boyfriend Yan went outside. When Yan suggested taking her home, Zhao Chu refused. After walking out of the police station, she felt like she was reborn. Tao Jie was also taken away by the police right in front of her colleagues in the company. Qin Nan had a dress custom-made for Zibei, originally intending for her to wear it at the first trial. Unexpectedly, the case was overturned. This time, Zibei actively wore that beautiful dress. Zibei arrived at the court and saw the people who had always encouraged her, even some who had come from afar to cheer her on. Zibei's heart was filled with determination. Meng Xin told Zibei that because of work reasons, he couldn't directly help, but he still hoped she would win this trial. Zhao Chu actively came to court to testify. She told the judge that the condoms in Zibei's bag were given by her, with no other intention. Only that she felt girls should pay attention to safety. Being careful was never too much. When going to court, Shu Hui told everyone that initially she hoped her daughter had a good father, so she had always covered up the matter. Wanted to give her husband a chance to turn his life around. But she didn't expect her husband to be so perverted. So she felt it was necessary to stop him. And she was willing to be this bad person. Tao Jie actively confessed that she had been sexually assaulted by Jian Sheng at work. But he had both power and a good reputation. As a woman, if her accusation wasn't successful, her reputation would be completely ruined. Tao Jie's testimony made the defendant even more agitated. Tao Jie confessed that Jian Sheng had once wanted to kill her. So in order to survive and not let her family know, she had no choice but to reluctantly become his mistress in the shadows. The judge didn't understand why Zibei hadn't filed a lawsuit before, but now decided to sue. Zibei said that she had been very afraid, because she had never experienced such a thing. But when she got home, her parents thought that this would damage their daughter's reputation and advised her not to sue. However, that period of time was like a nightmare to her, so she was determined to believe in herself, choosing to bring the evildoer to justice. Finally, Jian Sheng had to bear the punishment of the law. In prison, when he heard the news that Zibei had won the case, Qin Nan was very happy. Having won the case, Zibei seemed to see the sunlight that belonged only to her. Captain Zhang also quietly leaned against the wall, gently taking back the phone he had placed on the windowsill so that Qin Nan could hear the news. Qin Nan and Zibei prepared to move to another place to live, planning to leave after the Lunar New Year. Huang Guei Fan also hoped that her daughter and son-in-law would have a better life. The whole family wrapped dumplings together, extremely happy. Nian Wen had also become a very famous lawyer. Zhao Chu and Nian Wen happened to meet again, but because there was still a distance between them, the atmosphere was extremely awkward. But Nian Wen still liked Zhao Chu very much and offered to take her out to eat. Zhao Chu also happily agreed. Under the gaze of her parents and younger brother, Zibei left the city where she was born and raised. Zibei felt that this was another rebirth of herself. Zibei told Qin Nan that her mother was from the north. She didn't know if she liked the north or not, but if she had time, she wanted to go there with him to see. Finally, Zibei and Qin Nan had come to live in a coastal area. Qin Nan diligently fished every day, and Zibei was pregnant with her first child. Zibei also opened a seaside inn. The business was very prosperous. Zibei wanted to name her child Nuan Wan. Qin Nan was also very much looking forward to the birth of this little life.